We got that next. There was basically the deal was, I could clearly see it. I mean, you knew something was up at WrestleMania when you had the theme hit, and then they panned out to the live crowd. And
what they did was the theme hit. They panned over to the area where I guess you're supposed to pop out. They stood there for like 2 or 3 seconds, and then they did the live shot of the crowd. And then the next thing you know, he's just coming down the ramp or whatever. So it was
I guess he crawled out of a trap door or something where he was supposed to shoot up like he used to do on SmackDown, and then
he was dressed up in an Avatar costume for the movie.
Right. The retractable roof at WrestleMania, they opened and closed that at numerous points during the show. Somebody that was there live sent me an email, and
I heard it was awesome.
Well, yeah, but it opened and closed, which is kind of weird because there was no rain in the area. The people that attended Access, I went to WZR.com, you know me, Weather Mark, right? And they had, for the entire week, man, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they had, it was like 80-degree weather, 75 degrees and sunny each day, so no rain. So it was a good, you never know, you know what I mean? It's far, you can't control the weather, so to have especially when you're in a stadium, too, you know what I mean?
That was the other cool thing they did with the stadium, was that after Taker beat Shawn, they showed up on the big screen, they showed 18-0, fireworks went off in the building, and then they opened up the roof, and you saw outside, and fireworks shot off like crazy on top of the building, out in public. It just looked kind of cool, yeah.
The people that weren't used at WrestleMania, we had Ezekiel Jackson, obviously. Kurt Hawkins as well wasn't used. And then we had a few divas, Katie Lee Burchill, Rosa Mendez, Tiffany, Teddy Long, Abraham Washington, Tony Atlas, Jim Ross, Todd Grisham, and Byron Saxton were all not used on the WrestleMania pay-per-view.
What was up with Jim Ross not being used anyway? What was that about?
Well, I don't know what the deal is with Jim. He posted a blog today where I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to read this off here. But basically, his return to TV, I don't think he knows. You know what I mean? I guess he signed a short-term deal. It was like a one-month deal just to keep him for the time being, and then they were going to try to work out a longer deal. So he's on like a one-month contract that they've got to renegotiate here shortly. He says in a blog today, he says, "As for me, life is good and I am healthy and happy. For those that have written or assumed that the reason that I did announce at WrestleMania 26 was because of health concerns, that assumption is incorrect. I'm happy to say broadcasting wrestling in WWE is likely history for me," which is interesting. Broadcasting wrestling in WWE is likely history for me, but there are many other areas to which I can contribute in WWE, and those options, among others, will be weighed over the next month. And that coincides with what I just told you with over the next month, where he signed a very short-term deal basically to lock him up, to make sure that he doesn't go to TNA or another company, jump ship. So they've got him under a short-term deal, and then we'll see what happens, whether, they sign him to an announcer deal. But it doesn't look that way, man. By the nature of his blogs, it just doesn't seem like he's going to be back in an announcer.
You would think he'd probably sign the 1-month extension just to work WrestleMania while they figure out
Well, and not only that, dude, but I mean, in his blogs, you can clearly see that he was pretty upset about not.
He wanted, and especially the build-up. He wanted to, but he said he was going to be there strictly as a fan and shit like that. But even Steve Austin came out today and said he loved the WrestleMania, but he would have loved to hear it from Jim Ross. He would have made it better. Blah 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 blah. So.
I think Jim was kind of using the blog in recent weeks to try to basically tell WWE management, hey, I want to call this fucking match. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what he did. He straight up asked at one point, didn't he, if he could do the Shawn Michaels Taker match? Said he would love to do it.
Yeah, and then it basically became, well, I'm not going to call WrestleMania this and that, but he never outright. I mean, obviously he's not going to outright trash WWE, but you could tell he was pretty pissed off about not being able to call WrestleMania, and it really took the life out of Taker versus Shawn. I mean, if there was one match that he was going to be able to call, and I understand you can't just bring the guy in and have him call one match, but you know what? It's WrestleMania. And another thing, dude, is Shawn did an interview where basically he said that they were going to do. He had thought that they were going to do an elaborate entrance for Taker and Shawn, and they didn't do anything. Like for Taker's intro, you didn't have any druids or anything like that were out there this year. And then Cena got an intro where they brought out those soldiers, and that went on for like 5 minutes too long.
Worthless. It was stupid. Yeah, they just put the guns around, and like when they were done, he walked through them. Like they sorting it up or something.
And maybe that's the reason that I don't know, WrestleMania just didn't seem like they went all out this year, man. There were no...
Batista came out, he had a big spotlight, that was it. They didn't do anything like big pyro or anything crazy.
Well, they had the thing that would drop down from like the scoreboard above, which was cool. Where it would drop down before every match. They would have that big screen that would drop down from the ceiling. But other than that, there was just no elaborate intros or anything like. It kind of felt flat. I don't know.
The airplanes driving over the building was their big spectacle, I guess.
Yeah, and that was it. And then the parachute thing. I mean, they had them outside and they weren't used. And I don't know, the pyro outside of the arena, like last year they had, you can understand why they wouldn't do pyro inside the arena like they did last year, but the fireworks display to end the show just didn't seem like, I don't know, man, it just didn't seem like it was anything special, man. That's the WrestleMania just didn't feel like, I mean, did you feel that way, that WrestleMania this year just wasn't up to par with past years?
I mean, if it would have been in a regular-sized building like MSG or something, it would have definitely felt nothing, but because it was in such a big-ass stadium and you know, you had the roof opening them up and, you know, just better production and stuff like that. It seemed like WrestleMania, but it didn't have, like, the big elaborate shit that WrestleMania has individually for, like, superstar entrances and stuff like that.
Right. I don't know. It just didn't, I didn't like it, man.
It seemed like the one thing they planned was Mysterio's thing, and that didn't work, so.
Yeah. What else do we have? Backstage names at WrestleMania. We had, Linda McMahon was at WrestleMania. She was there, I believe she was there for some of the Access stuff, and then she was backstage at WrestleMania as well. You had
Shane McMahon wasn't at anything. Shane
McMahon. I've got an exclusive on that. He wasn't at WrestleMania. He was. I got an email today along with a photo. Yeah, Shane, his wife, and their kid were at the Madison Square Garden. We talked about Madison Square Garden. They were down there for the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus or something something like that. So his family, they were in New York City for WrestleMania weekend. I haven't put that up on the website yet. That's where he was. Then we had Jennifer Hudson. She was there with her fiance David Otunga, who's from NXT. That was interesting, as they had Fantasia sing the national anthem, and Jennifer Hudson was backstage, so she could have easily done it as well. I don't know. It was just Manny Ramirez from the Los Angeles Dodgers was in attendance. He was actually front row at WrestleMania, and he was backstage as well. You had Scott D. Moore, former TNA booker. He was backstage, and he was there. He was there for Stu Hart. He's Canadian and has a lot of ties to runs indie promotions up in Canada and has a lot of ties to Dungeon up there and things like that. So he was there on behalf of the Harts. And you had former ECW World Champion and current Ring of Honor star Jerry Lynn was backstage visiting as well, which is interesting because he had worked the Ring of Honor shows over the weekend. It's also interesting to note that Brian Danielson, attended the Friday night Ring of Honor show. I'm guessing that he had clearance from WWE because they were told, WWE talent was told not to go anywhere near the Dragon Gate USA and Ring of Honor shows over the weekend on Friday and Saturday, and Daniel Bryan was there. So I'm guessing he got that cleared. And then we had Freddie Prinze Jr. was there as well, former creative team writer. Seth Green was also there, and Billy Corgan, lead singer of the Smashing Pumpkins, was also backstage at WrestleMania. So there's some backstage names from Mania. What else, man?
I was going to say, I don't have any comments on that. Like, okay.
Yeah, no.
They were there.
No comments. Tila Tequila, there's been talk of having her host Raw.
Who is that?
Tila Tequila. Oh, Jesus, dude. She's a reality star. She used to have a TV show where people, it was, what was the name of it? A Shot at Love. It's a Shot at Love with Tila or something like that, where people would, there'd be a group of 10, 20 guys. They'd start out, and she would eliminate guys, and then at the end, there'd be one guy left, or she'd have to choose between the final two. A Shot at Love with Teal Tequila.
Sounds like every fucking TV show on TV right now, dude. It sounds terrible.
Yeah, they're just another reality show. She replied to this on her Twitter account. She says, I don't watch much wrestling, but I like muscular guys in tights.
All right.
Whatever, dude. So that's that. Teal Tequila. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. What else?